time, I want you to consider something. This silence that you're working in, this needs to happen every day. Stacking in the morning should be the single most sacred activity of your week. Every day. Some of you from the old guard of warrior, you don't really understand stacking. You don't understand what we do. You were here when core 4 was our core element. You have no idea the power that the men now access through this weapon every day, particularly a weapon known as the prayer stack. For those that get it, fantastic. Tomorrow we're going to spend some time on it. This is a game, Jesse, you deserve. Every day. Keith, every day. Not because you're my best friend. Because God needs to talk to you. Every day. In this way. Specific. With direct actions. Jesse Barlow, every day. The results that you've gotten have come with, you and I both know, about 15%. Imagine what the fuck would happen at 40%. That's how powerful you are. And you're ready for more than 40. The biggest challenge, Jesse, won't be you. It'll be the gap that immediately within 60 days begins between you and your entire executive leadership team and the entire world around you. But that's a good problem to have. Let's deal with that problem. It's like some of you in business, we're still fucking around with marketing problems. Can we just get to tax problems? I'd love to just have a room of guys show up pissed off at the IRS instead of wanting to talk about fucking Facebook ads all the time. Can we make a lot of money, please, so we can talk about real problems? Can we get you to a place that you're sexually satisfied at the highest level with your partner, that you're no more guilt and shame with your children, that you don't walk around and feel weak in your body, and that you have direct communion with God so we can actually fucking get started with what the fuck we're here to do? Because until you're willing to get to that place of abundance, all the rest of this is just a bunch of exercise to try to get you into a place to even get to the fucking starting line. It's like Christians that want to sit around and talk about salvation all day long. This is like being in a CrossFit workout and you have a buy-in of 25 deadlifts and then the workout starts. You finish the 25 deadlifts and then you sit down and celebrate. I'm done with the workout. No, motherfucker, the clock's still going. The workout's still on. That was the buy-in to begin the work. Your salvation was a restoration of ultimate divine creation's intention. The purpose of his life was not to be saved. The purpose of this life began before salvation. Salvation was a restoration of the original intention. To bring heaven to earth. Through who? Through you. Salvation accelerates this as a conversation. It allows you to see things you couldn't see. It allows me to see things I couldn't see. And the original intention is what I see. Bringing heaven to earth. Garrett, you didn't see what you saw on accident. You weren't called into the place you were called into that you and I both know. Because I was called into the same place. This is why you're here. Together. I wasn't fucking around yesterday. Time is now. It's not next year. It's not 2 years from now. It'll be too late. The window's now. Step 1, get revelation. Step 2, have the courage to execute on said revelation, no matter the cost. But what if it costs me $2 million, and in that you define yourself as a money whore and cannot be trusted? Some of you are money whores. You'll do everything required except for let go of your love and attachment to money. So you're not free. Some of you do what's required, unless, of course, it requires you to challenge your marriage. It requires you to collide with the queen over things you continue to not collide about. Because it's just good enough. It's like having employees that work just hard enough to not get fired, and you pay them just enough that they don't fucking quit. That's how most men's marriages are. A contractual agreement of just enough so that things are not quite desperate. Many of you have made the same agreement with your bodies. I'll take care of you just enough so that you don't completely fucking break down. Or I go the opposite end, I overtrain like I'm a professional athlete when I'm not. Both hiding. Both avoiding. But the hardest part is you having the courage and the capacity to listen to him and then do what he is telling you to do. Not what I'm telling you to do. This is why the tools of warrior are meant and have been opened up in a way that allow for you to get answers that are beyond anything I would say. The work and the weapons are what will set you free. For those inside of it, a home audience, and you get this, type in, I get it. Type in, I get it in the chat, because many of you are already men who participate with us in Wake Up Warrior. You're just participating from home around the globe. No one's going to fucking save you. Salvation here is not in question. If you have not been saved and Christ is not in your world, I would encourage you to make that move. Not because what everyone else tells you to do, because of that. Because there is a power inside of this that you are missing out on that will allow you to see things in this life you cannot currently see. I know. This happened to me. And the voice became Christ. Identified as a name, and I got it. People said, you're new to the faith. I said, no. No, my friend. You just think I'm new to your box. I'm not new to the faith at all. I don't need faith. I have knowledge. And my knowledge will always trump your faith. Your faith is not enough for you to behave most times. Your belief is too weak, so you don't do what's required. Your belief in your faith and your hope, leaning on everyone else, is not enough when the darkness comes. In that place, the only way that you will have the courage to do what's required and to leave everything and pursue it is if you are directly connected to him and have the ability to hear him and then do what he is asking you to do. And sometimes, Greg, that leads us to the jungles. Because the box that we were raised in was so radically different than what we needed, yet it was everything we needed as a contrast to go find ourselves in the jungle, only to return back from the jungle to this place as a power-playing capitalist and business owner, weaponized with the power of the jungle and the truth of connection to him, and now with a clarity to do all the cool shit you've always done, bro, but to do it with an energy and an intention that is unreal. This is why I'm so grateful you're here. You hold up this room. Thank you. This has to be more than words, Satema. More than words. It's more. It's not checklists. We were raised with checklists. Checklists won't get it done. There is a source and a spirit and a truth to this that we were searching for forever. The checklists were helpful. But there was a power we were missing as we fell in love with the routines and didn't find the connection. The connection is where the fire comes from. The connection is what gives us the ability to be honest. Without this connection, it's terrifying because our minds are now worried about what everyone else will think. What will everyone else think if I tell the truth publicly? What will my wife think if I tell her everything that I'm thinking? What will happen to my children and to my community if I speak all of the truth the way it really is for me? Bryce, what will happen? Well, you've demonstrated, you've done it, you've chosen to go down that path, and there's consequences for it. There are consequences for hiding. There are consequences for not hiding. Just like there are consequences and pain that must be experienced to make money. And there are painful consequences for not doing what's required to make money. There is pain being in a good marriage. There is pain being in a great marriage. There is pain being overweight and broken down physically, and there is pain to be fit. You're going to experience pain no matter what. The question will be, do you choose it by design, or are you compelled to your knees by default? The statement that every tongue shall confess and every knee shall bow has deep relevance and meaning to me now. Stood on stage at a marketing conference over a year ago, and I did the unthinkable. I prayed from stage. I spoke of Jesus from stage at a business conference. Pastors from megachurches calling me. I can't believe you did that. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I said, my friend, I've been speaking truth for a decade. I just now know the name who was at the source of all that truth. I have been doing what's required of me for a very long time. It started first with the conversation of taking a stand for my black brothers and sisters and having a conversation that cost me $2 million publicly as people abandoned me because of my stand. Then, imagine a month later when I'm asked to take a stand for President Trump. I'm not a political man. I don't do politics. That's Sean's thing. It's not my thing. God said, I want you to take a stand. I didn't know why. So here I am for 2 months taking a stand, being crucified by people because of my stand for my black brothers and sisters. Then 2 months later, I'm crucified by the same group who is celebrating me, now crucifying me as a racist. First, I'm the great white hope, and then I'm a racist. And I lose another $2 million as I take a stand publicly about my political position with Trump. Then the same voice asked me to take a stand for masks and against it and against the vaccine. And so I do, and I lose another $2 million. Then comes the big wham, and what I didn't realize was I was being prepared because that presentation came off the wake, and there I stood. God said, guess what? I now want you to take a stand for Jesus, publicly, front lines, everywhere you go. I wasn't ready to do that right out of the gate. Forrest, I'm always bewildered by all the men who are just so powerful at church but can't do it in their own businesses. They witness to Christ where it's comfortable, where there's no consequence, where everyone celebrates them and pats them on the back, and they smoke a cigar and have some whiskey and call themselves brothers. I'm not into that. I'm into waging the war I've been called to wage. This is why you're here. But the window's closing, my man. Your life won't be bad. You'll just miss the window of the call. Many of you in this room are on the edge of that window. You've been called to speak some things, but you have lacked the courage to speak them. And so he uses me like a wrecking ball, demonstrating publicly what it looks like. I sat on a yacht with a bunch of influencers, and I listened to them on this yacht say the following. I'm so excited to be here on a yacht filled with Christians, so I can finally say the things that I can't say in social media. I sat there, looked at my wife, and she said, well, now we know why we're on this boat. You're a fucking psychopath, and I don't even know if I believe in Jesus. I said, well, we might be late to the party, but it appears the party hasn't started because I wasn't there yet. Gentlemen, I don't give a shit what you believe. Doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is you listen to whatever the name of the voice is, you call it. Because what I've found, he don't really care what you call it. If you're willing to listen to him, you can call him donkey. He'll talk to you. He doesn't care. He's so beyond our ability to put him into a little fucking box and defend and fight over names and labels and who's fucking right and wrong. He could be donkey. Dear donkey, in the name of donkey, don't care. Doesn't matter. What does matter in the beginning is that you listen. And like me, over time, what I think you will find is that he will guide you to see things, and in my case, take a knee. But that knee had to be my decision. Because in order to stand for him, I had to choose to take a knee myself. But I did it by decision, not by default and compulsion. I chose it when I didn't have to. I chose it as a decision based on revelation. This room is filled with ex-pastors. You're hilarious, all of you. You fucking crazies. It's just a bunch of crazy old pastors who used to be pastors. I got energy workers, medicine men in this room. I don't give a shit where you came from. And some of you were like, I don't even know if I believe in God. Great. Don't care. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Be honest. Just be honest. Alan, you missed a moment from John yesterday. It's fucking powerful. We'll give you the replay. This is honesty. You and I, our conversations, they're direct and they're honest. I didn't do that. I didn't do that relationship. That relationship's amazing. Honest. Understand, I can do that. Honest. With me, we can solve shit when honesty exists. And there's honesty in a chat, and there's honesty one-on-one, and then there's honesty in front of the fucking world, where we have everything to lose. You're all here training how to be honest by yourself and in a small group so that you have the courage, Alazar, to be honest where? Everywhere, which you're finding is the case. And you're going to share about some of that today. This power in honesty. Many of you are great men who don't need anything. So what the fuck are you here for? I will plant an idea. Just one. And my own audience, the same thing. I got text from several of you this morning. How the fuck am I not in that room? I said, you didn't pay $10,000 in come. That's the cost of indecision. It doesn't mean you're having a bad experience. It just means you're having a different experience. Many of you are called into this game with us. Michael, Preston Pugmire, Matthew Lee. Matthew, it'd be interesting to see what would happen if you ran at the core with me. Not just once every couple years. If you sat in the heartbeat of this thing. You and I had conversations during that time and season about race. Do you know how long I had been waiting for a black man to take a stand for this kind of living the warrior's way and take it to your people? Every man who's come to my door saying they were ready to do it, all of them quit. Why? Because it comes with a cost. Just wait. So many people waiting for you to lead. But they're all liars. And you cannot lead from what you do not live. And if honesty does not sit at the core of who you're being with yourself, then you will always lack the ability to lead anyone around you with any more than hype and motivation. And right now, from the ease of my cell phone, I can access unlimited hype and motivation all fucking day long, Which means if that's all you've got to offer me as a leader is hype and motivation, and you can fucking do it memes, you're nothing different than the rest of all these watered down pussies who have no idea what leadership actually is. Leadership from love is hard. Leadership from love means that you must kick people in the face. Things do not build themselves. Eric, this is why the entire medicine world falls on its face 24/7. Because no one in that world actually understands love in this world. They understand love from the 72nd dimension. But trying to bring that shit down into this world and translate it into a machine that can actually deliver awakening, now we're talking about a different scenario. Are you seeing how we might have figured a few things out around here? And we did it the hard way for 10 fucking years, Eric. We didn't have the ease of that. That's easy. One day I can be trained to lead men in the place we've been in. This has been a fucking nightmare. So gentlemen, you're all going to share. You got 10 minutes. I'm going to put you into groups. You're going to share. Where the fuck are you at right now? I'm not going to save you. We're on day 2 in the morning. We had a long day yesterday. There's a lot of insights could have been had. And there's some clarity that you got today. So we're going to put you in a group for 10 minutes and you're going to talk about it. If in the virtual audience and at home, if you're clear about what we're going to do for the next 10 minutes, go ahead and type in the word clear into the chat so I know you're clear. Give me clears. Let's go. Give me clears. Virtual audience, you got this 10 minutes. Tech team, go ahead and throw them into rooms, 4 or 5 at a group, 10 minutes. In my room, you're going to get 3 other men, 4 of you on your feet, out of your seat. Move somewhere in the room. Get your buddies, partner it up, 4 by 4. 4 in a group, 4 in a group, 4 in a group, 4 in a group. Gunderson, get up here. Chuck, Hans, come over on the side. Phil, over here on the side. I'll bring you up in a second. You look good, bro. You look good.
Thanks, bro.
So, Chair, where are we at from day 1? Let's stand over the side, stage yours.
Day 1 was exposure for me, getting up and talking about the reality of what is and being vulnerable. And the insight from that is connection to God, God first, God only, and then allow that connection to show up in everyday life and forget about impact. Impact is an external thing that's stuck in the world that gets me to not listen to the divine and instead just listen to the world, and then my ego runs wild.
Clear. What else do you know?
That's the shortest amount of talking I've ever done in my life. I know, it's confusing. You're like, he'll go, we've given him a microphone, it's dangerous.
Yeah, what else do you know?
What I know is that when I first thought, when you and I talked about soul purpose, that soul purpose was an external activity in the world instead of the soul's yearning to go home. And when we're in the darkness and in the pit, it's our soul getting our attention to connect to God. And so that wasn't something that I knew early on in my career. And I write down a statement a lot about, I've got it, I've got this, but now it's we've got this. When God first spoke to me, he's like, you're never alone. And I was in a dark, difficult moment of owning my truth, owning my secrets, being in, torture for a decade in my internal thinking, knowing that I was so open and authentic to the world because I had 2 things that I had never shared, and then I could share everything else and then get applauded for that vulnerability, knowing that vulnerability was a protection mechanism for the truth that I was like never willing to face, and it was my ultimate playing not to lose. And when we play not to lose, that is a game of scarcity and sacrifice and never allows us to be fully expressed. And I thought I was going to lose everything in that share, but did it anyway.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Me too. I told you have the blueprints. I'm just a weapon. Let's go. I think I gave a fuck about any of this.
That's one thing I know about you.
Yeah. Too good? Boom. All right, next person. Phil, where you at? Day one.
Exposure is a gift. And what does exposure do? It exposes what? Exposes the truth. So for me, what truth did it expose yesterday? Well, a lot of good things have happened in 4 years for me, 5 years for me. I was bankrupt, divorced, lonely when I found God, when I found Warrior. And if I look back on that, the truth is, life's great. And I've done a lot of work. But that work exposes a lot more truth. And the sole purpose that I went through earlier this year exposed a lot, and it showed me what I'm here for. I'm here as a commissioner for God. Commissioner means you were called. It means you've got authority. And I had to say, well, what does that mean for me? And I'm a builder of that kingdom. And what do I build it on? Well, I build it on truth. I build it on excellence, and I build it on order. But the truth is, the order got exposed for me yesterday. The order in my family with my wife, and the order of my business, and the order of conversations and truths that I'm having with my wife and with my clients. You know, where are we at for real? And what I mean by that is when we're in this room, guys, it's easy in this room. It's easy because we're with each other, and we're all trying to do the same things. We're trying to build something big. We're all powerful men here. But what I've found challenging is going back to my reality, going back home to the people that know the old me. Well, I've died and been reborn multiple times over the past 4 or 5 years. Nobody fucking knows me anymore.
How many of you can relate to this? Raise your hand. One of the challenges going back to the old world is everybody only knows you like the old world, like that buddy from high school who you haven't seen since senior year. And the minute you hang out, you're like, your mind only knows him from like 30 years ago, which is super fucking weird. People meet me too. They think they know me from 2018. People meet me, they think they know me from 2019, 20, 21, early 2022. I was like, you meet me before March of 2022. You don't even know who the fuck I am. You don't even know what I'm capable of. This process of death and rebirth is a challenging game because it actually redefines your deck of social order constantly. People move in and out of your lives based upon what they're willing to be. But your attachment to keeping people in your life is your problem. You're more worried about keeping people in your life than you are fulfilling the calling. It's like camping out at the base of the mountain, talking about all your good friends you have down there, but you know you've been called to climb. But instead of climbing, you keep camping out because no one in the base camp wants to climb with you. Not recognizing if you'll just move up the mountain a bit, there's an entire group of people waiting for you to get there. And you think that you're waiting on them, they're waiting on you. You keep looking back thinking, what about them? And they keep looking going, when the fuck is he going to get it? I'm proud of you, man. You're doing great work this year. You're doing great work. And the biggest piece that's opening up for you is soul. Right? It's like it's an initial place because I knew you had a relationship with Jesus Christ, which was powerful. But what I'm watching unfold is your ability to navigate and define what that looks like on a business front, which is the ultimate life. Is that there's not just, I go to Sunday. Every day is a day you get to run with the power of Christ in your back pocket as a weapon in what you're using and being called into navigating the business and life. And everything we do here is now one calling. That's why people are like, you want to come hang out? I was like, I hang out all week. I'm going to spend time with my wife and kids. Why? Because I get to have this communion with you a lot. I get to have this communion with men every day. This is what the business meetings can become, even in the game of accounting and finance and being a CFO. You can still have this. And the crazy part is this 80% of the conversation is what the people you're bringing into your world, it's what they want and need. And the justification is to bring you on for bookkeeping, which is important too in dealing with taxes. Where's Chad at? Chad, you get this? You see this with him? Right? You trust him because of his background and money, but the bigger game of trust comes from what you're seeing here, yes? Yeah, and being in council this year, being a warrior council, our Kingdom Council was like fucking big deal. There's a trust factor there that you can't find just meeting each other once in a while. Okay, beautiful job. 2 clap. Boom. Beautiful job. What do you got?
This year for me has been a year of amazing transformation. And it's interesting, the reason that I came to Warrior was intuitively I knew I was stuck. How many of you have been in a situation that you intellectually know the answers, you intellectually get the idea, but you can't execute on it? Put your hands up if you can identify that. Okay, that's where I was, just like many of you. How many seminars have we gone to? How many books have we read? How much time have we spent journaling? Yet we still can't come up with the fucking answer. So I came because I was stuck. And I believe that you would help me get unstuck. Now, the interesting thing about it was I went through some major financial trauma, some major family trauma. And in the trauma, I developed stories. Now, intellectually, I got the idea I need to be accountable. I need to be responsible. But in spite of my belief that I should be accountable, I was running these stories that I could easily be a victim. In coming here, the idea that we stop fucking lying and we start telling the truth became really evident to me. When I got really raw and honest that all the stuff that had happened to me was my own fucking fault. Not only was it my own fucking fault, it was my fucking choice. I stepped out and made a really bold choice in my life. A choice to take a $200 million business, to take my position as a Christian leader in the community, to take my position as a family man, and walk away from all of it. And the truth of it was I did it because there was somebody I was deeply in love with. And I was willing to burn it to the ground to do that. But I struggled with reconciling all that. And through this, I got that truth. So I've been on a major transformation, clearing out all of that. It's been an amazing year for me. I came to WarriorCon with in my mind one thing that was left, and this was about abundance. We all get the idea of abundance. We believe in abundance, but then there's this message that comes in our head, comes in my head, this message of lack, this message of fear. And I've been battling that, and I know it's bullshit. I totally believe that God loves me. I totally believe that I'm more than enough. I totally believe in the long run it'll work out. But if I was real honest, in the short run, I'm scared of shit.
Pause. How many of you can relate to that? Raise your hand. Virtual, hands to camera. Hey, tell me I should call you at home audience. I don't know what you want me to call you. What do you guys want me to call you? Type it in the chat. Fuckers on the internet. Like, what do you want me to call you? Fuckers? All right, of course, Hunter, you want us to call you fuckers. Home warriors, guardians of the wall. I like that. Guardians of the wall. And then I want you guys to come up with your routine. Swinging dicks while guardians of the wall. Okay. The guardians of the wall swinging dicks. Okay, perfect. Well, that's gone off the reservation quickly. Thank you. So this piece of being here this year, and not only being here in this place, the peace to abundance comes through a willingness to wage war for peace. And this is what I've watched you do. And it's required an entire cadre of individuals and conversations in council, a whole bunch of people, including the Freedom Protocol and the Freedom Formula, everything involved to bring this compression into your world so that there was the courage to speak freely. This is what we're all looking for, is the courage to speak freely and know that speaking freely comes with a consequence. What people never tell you is the consequence for lying. No one talks about this. It's like everyone wants to talk about masks, but nobody wants to talk about obesity. We should all wear masks. Well, how about you fucking work on your immune system? I'll put a diaper on my face. No, you put a fucking diaper on your face. I've been doing work on my body for a long fucking time. Your terror over disease is your issue, not mine. The end. The time for preparation is gone once the war begins. And now we find out really quickly what the fuck you did in the dark when nobody was watching. I'm always amazed at watching how many people are so fierce until shit goes sideways. Everybody talks about abundance until scarcity is raping your front door. Everybody talks about how much they love their wife until she fucking nunchucks you in the balls over shit. I love my wife. I appreciate my wife. Yeah, you do. Because you have a sedated woman who's a doormat. Congrats. Congratulations. That's great. A sedated woman with no opinion because you cornered her into a box and you made her fucking stay there. When in reality, you needed a savage queen who wouldn't take your shit. And every time you show up less than what king status is, she doesn't accept you. She won't even fuck you. I didn't sign up to fuck the peasant, so sorry. You want to keep acting like that, go fuck yourself. This was hard. Cody, this is what you're hunting down. Like, holding pattern until. Once she's there, it's over. You saw what's going on with Sean. You saw what Saxony did for his life. It's fucking crazy. You see exactly what I'm talking about too, Alan. Scott, this is what you're searching for. That last chip. You're a fucking crazy man. The fact that you would take something very good and put it at risk for great. My wife's going to be here and tell you all about it tomorrow. How she thought I was a total asshole for pushing the fucking line to divorce because I refused to accept anything less than elite and great in my marriage. You get this too. Friday. It's coming. Just keep smiling. You make me happy. Beautiful. 2 cup. Boom. You got it. Hans, what do you got?
The exposure of silence was powerful to me yesterday. We have so many tools, particularly the prayer stack, that as we enter that stack, we're exposed sometimes at the end. But taking that time that was demonstrated yesterday, the impatience in me hated 45 minutes of that silence. But that was also where my vulnerability was coming through, that I don't enter in all of the time with that silent state, that quiet, that I get to see all of the darkness and the flaws in me that exist in just pure silence, only me. So I took that and I said, well, what does that mean for me? That means I need to embrace the darkness at a much more powerful level. But embracing that darkness and entering it and leaving led me to the conclusion that leaving is a form of leading. And each and every day we have to leave and enter a darkness. Led me to the next step, which is what Coach said today, which is this idea of bringing our dark side into the darkness. And if we're unwilling to be silent and connect with that exposure that we see in ourselves in that darkness, what we're called to do, we can't do. We've got to enter the darkness to lead. That darkness comes in silence and silence with God.
Beautiful. 2 cup. Boom. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. So we got a couple of you here. I'm Mark. Why? What's up, man? No Muay Thai today, Mark. No Muay Thai. It's a warrior. What do you think about your wife today? Eric, talk to me. Eric Johnson, where you at after day 1?
Well, we just had the breakout session, and one of the things that I talked about is you had asked about the lies that we tell to ourselves, the lies we tell others about ourselves, and the lies we tell to God. And all 3 of them are the same thing. I can do it all by myself. I don't need any help. And the thing that I have to learn is how to trust that one voice, that one clear voice, that's gonna give me that vision, and that's gonna give me that calling. I have to be able to hear it through all the noise that's in my head and all the noise in the world, and trust it and follow it.
Where do you need to hear it the most? Right now, what area of life do you need to hear it the most?
Balance.
Okay, talk to me about that.
Not a good husband. I take my wife for granted. The biggest thing that hit me today that you had said is, it's a calling. It's not transactional, and I spend way too much time worrying about what I'm doing in the relationship and expecting something in return. And maybe I just need to do treat my wife the way that she needs to be treated, and have that knowledge that the good is going to come back to me rather than worrying about it. That would be the biggest thing.
Okay. What do you expect from her? What's one thing you're not getting that you want?
I want lots of great sex. I just want to be appreciated for the hard work that I do.
Okay.
But that also needs, that I need to turn around and appreciate her for all the good things that she does. And I definitely don't do enough of that. I got to practice what I preach.
Okay, cool. So we want to have more sex. What else?
Just more sex and more attention.
Okay.
I feel like we're just roommates. We can't talk about anything.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sitting here right now in our little boy's bedroom. He's in kindergarten.
Uh-huh.
She must have been listening outside the door last night, because I was exhausted after a 12-hour day and went to bed, and she came in and we had some fun time that we haven't had in probably almost a year. So that was a good start.
Did you make love or did you fuck?
Oh, we fucked.
Attaboy.
And it was glorious.
Attaboy.
But
Well, that was fucking weak. Don't give me.
yeah.
Give me a 2 clap for real. Go. Somebody be a leader.
Boom. So yeah.
Hold on. Eric, you got everybody excited around here about your fucking last night, because all these guys were in a hotel without their wives. Here we go. That's respect.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, okay, well, wait a second. You got fucked last night, but we got a problem with the relationship with sex, but it sounds like you did something yesterday. Why do you think she fucked you last night?
Probably because I don't know. Maybe she overheard. Maybe she was sitting out there after.
Maybe she's
dinner.
excited about the fact that you're finally choosing to become the man that she fell in love with originally, and that your unfuckable stop. Your unfuckableness in the past has been because you haven't been willing to commit on you. And you might be surprised if you keep rising that she's actually very excited about participating with the king, but being the king doesn't mean you just make some money.
Right. What you just talked about how she doesn't want to fuck the peasant. She wants to fuck the king.
Yeah.
So maybe I should start being the king and quit being a fucking peasant.
Well, okay, our work is done here, Eric. Thank you very much for being here. You did it. I mean, literally, he just answered it for all of us. You stop acting like a peasant. When the queen wants to fuck the king, she's not going to come knocking if you act like a little bitch. I was a professional whiny bitch for a number of years, a good decade, little pouting whiny bitch. How many know what I'm talking about? Most men do when we get married, all of a sudden become pouty whiny bitches. We don't even know why it happened to us. And then our wife is not turned on at all. We're like, why are you not turned on? I'm playing with the kids, I'm making dinner, I'm doing my thing. Why don't you want to fuck me? Well, you're unfuckable. It's weird. The game has to actually continue. We're going to talk about that on day 4. Wife will be here and talk about it. She's going to celebrate the fact that you got fucked. It'll be great. Seriously. TTF, she came up with it. Tell me, touch me, fuck me. She also has a principle she'll talk about tomorrow, which is called Quickie Porn Star. You can have your wife come in and watch that session. Literally. Quickie Porn Star, which over the years became Porn Star, which went P3. It's amazing. Good job, bro. Well done. So now we're in a good place. Your stress is gone. You blew a nut. You're ready to do day 2.
Damn right.
Attaboy. 2 clap. Boom. All right. Let's go. Brian, where are we at?
There we go. We are in an interesting spot.
Okay, talk to me.
King's Challenge about 4 years ago with brother Mike Cotemeyer there,
Awesome.
and text from him last night basically saying, hey, you know what you just told me? You've been telling me that for 5 years, so what's going to change? I have a fear of money.
Okay.
That's why I'm literally sitting 15 minutes down the road from you guys and not in the room. And my fear of money comes from the fact that I feel like every month I need to have some stable level of income, and tied to that is health benefits, medical benefits.
Got it.
I was raised Canadian, lived in Canada for 40 years, was used to having that
Yeah, you were
that
trained.
health
Yeah, you were
advantage coming
trained
to
to
the
be a
US.
pussy.
And
I get it.
yeah,
It's called socialism.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
So what's happening is I've been
Pause for a second. Let's just own that for a second. Like, you were raised in an environment that taught you to be a weak person and lean on the government. They're trying to do it here in the United States too.
Yeah.
Trudeau's a fucking pussy.
Yeah.
That guy can go fuck himself. Right, while with our inability to read teleprompter, President Joe Biden, he can go fuck himself too.
Yeah.
But pause, just be in this place. You were raised in an environment that taught you to be weak. Then you came to a country looking for something else. Why'd you come to the United States if it was so great in Canada?
I came here because of my wife.
For what?
So for basically my wife.
Your wife, basically, or your wife's
I went through a
American?
divorce my wife's American. Went through a
Okay.
divorce in Canada, remarried, been married 8 years now.
Got it. So you divorced a Canadian, you divorced Canada, you moved to the U.S., and you found yourself a spicy American woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. So now we just need to transfer that same commitment to money, is what I'm hearing, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Transferred a business from Canada to the US, but
Okay.
now because of this fear, I'm
Yeah.
chasing these stupid W-2 roles and treating my business like a side hustle. Yet at
Got
the
it.
end of the year, my business actually makes more money.
Okay, got it. So we need to make more money, and part of that is changing the way you think about money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
That's
And
what I'm-
being
that's
here
what
in the
I'm
room would have been a massive difference than sitting virtually like 10 miles away, 5 miles away, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, all right. And I want you to look at that. There's a cost for not making the investment to put yourself in the room. Now, you're
Correct.
putting yourself in the room here, and that came with a price, comes with the cost also. And I'm glad that you're here, right? So you're on the fringe, you got an opportunity, you're here at home, and you got an opportunity, you're at home just a little bit away. But I want you to look at this. So oftentimes we make decisions with the money based upon our fear of right now without a willingness to open up and see, where the fuck am I going? Now the investment makes sense. So I want you to be open today that you're going to open up a newer possibility that will likely put you in my room all the time.
Yeah.
And you'll see it, but
Yeah,
that's going to be about the freedom you're pursuing. Because until the freedom you're pursuing becomes more desirable than the current safety that you cling to, that freedom has to outweigh it. If that freedom doesn't, then I'll just continue to cling here. And that's what, without a clear vision of where that is, we do things like stay a couple miles away from the event and come from our house, which is great. I get it, man. I love it. I love that you're here. I appreciate that you're here. I love that Mike invited you here. And I love that you're owning the fact that that's part of it. So we got to solve a money problem, but that money problem starts where?
It starts with my get over that fear I have.
Yeah, we got to get it here.
Me.
Yeah, it's no
Yeah.
different than the sex problems or money problems or fitness problems, and everything begins here. And the only way to get this to really change is to connect here to God and have Him rewire your brain
Right.
back to the state of where it was born to be, not to the fucked up place you were trained to be.
Right. When you
Shit.
said yesterday, what are we lying to God? What are our lies to God?
Yeah.
That one's easy for me. My lies to God is that I'm following His will, and I'm not. I'm not listening to Him. I haven't been for a lot of years.
Got it. In the chat, how many of you can relate to that? Type in me. Type in me if you can relate to exactly what Brian's talking about in the chat. It's hilarious. I call it using God as a shield. I like it when people quote scriptures to me and they're not doing a fucking thing they're being asked to do. So they hide behind scriptures. I'm so smart. I went to Bible college. Go fuck yourself. I don't measure you by how many scriptures you memorize. I'm not impressed by how many times you go to Bible study. Show me your fucking fruit, pussy. In this world, your fruit's all that matter. Here is what it's called to do. I put you here and give you dominion over yourself. Dominion over this world. Not to dominate others, to dominate yourself. And inside of that dominion comes a decision. And that decision is simple. Will you bear fruit? It was a simple request and command. I give you dominion, bear fruit. It's fruit of the Spirit. Go fuck yourself. Fruit of the Spirit translated into what? Here. Here. You're here to have an experience here, to learn how to create here. If all you're worried about doing is going there, wherever there is, then you become worth less here. Doesn't mean you're worth nothing. It just means you're worth less here. To yourself, to your wife, to your children, to everyone. You're worth less here. The goal is to be worth more here, to be more valuable here. You're already invaluable and priceless wherever there is. You were here to experience that value here, to show you can bring the kingdom through you here. And how do we measure it? Fruit. Not words, not statements, and not good intentions. Fruit. Show me your fruit. And tell me shit. Show me your fruit. Stand naked. Show me your bank accounts. Let me talk to your wife and children. Let me talk to your teams. Let me talk to your clients. Let's see what everybody else says about you. Because you can lie. But the bank accounts don't lie. The mirror doesn't lie. The world around you doesn't lie. They're going to tell me the truth of what you've actually done. Not the shit you like to pretend that you've done. I'm a badass. Show me the fruit. That's it. That's why single men cannot guide married men. What do you guide me on? How to be single? Go fuck yourself. I had a couple of single guys give me sex counseling. They're like trying to coach me up. Like, coach, all you need to do is this. Just walk in the bedroom and just like grab her by the neck and just like push her against the wall. So I tried that. And she'll tell you about it tomorrow. I ended up with a stiletto red bottom to the fucking forehead, and I was bleeding, and I had to shield myself. I went back to these great coaches. I said, well, what should I do? I don't know. I've never had that happen before. I said, well, that's what happens when you pay for sex, bro. You get to do whatever you want. I kind of pay for sex. I'm married to her, so I buy everything she wants. I actually averaged it out one time. I started counting how much money I was putting out for how much time I wasn't getting fucked. I was like, these are very expensive fucks. So this is a lot of money for this. I was like, counting. I was like, that's $432,000 for like 17 seconds. I don't even know how to do the fucking math on that. So there's an opportunity here. And that opportunity begins, Brian, with us having a conversation around money, which you did yesterday. Yeah. Right? And being able to see yourself from a different place and being able to understand that you actually matter. And this comes back to being able to see that you're a number one asset, which we're going to talk about today, helping you all see that you were called into abundance. And I want you all to consider, as we go into some of our map work, that until your life across body, being, balance, and business is in abundance, you have not begun the game of life. The only purpose of your life is to get your life in abundance across all levels, and in that place, true agency begins. You can be spiritually on fire, but if you don't have the money, it doesn't matter. Because in this life, you can't get things done. You can have all the money, but if you have no spiritual connection, it doesn't matter. Because you will burn yourself up in the grind with the money. You can have the money and a relationship with God and deep connection, but be completely dysfunctional inside a relationship with a woman. And the whole thing will unspiral again. You can have those three locked down, but in a complete guilt and shame with your children. And the whole game fucking unspirals again. Brian, are you seeing this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate you here, man. Thank you for being here. Even if you're a couple miles down the road. I appreciate you here virtually. Gentlemen, we have some work to do. Open up your devices. At home audience, open up your devices. We're going to step into another map. I want you to go to your notes section. Same place we were yesterday. We're going to facts. We're going to have a conversation today, and you're going to do some work on the topic of body. Pull up your body map. Same place we went to in our notes section. Same place we were at yesterday with balance and business. but we're going to have a talk about body. You are going to do some work on the conversation of body. The body's an interesting piece because without the body, none of the rest of the game works. Get sick, get injured, all the production disappears. Period. Become ill, terminally ill, you die. Body doesn't work, your game here ends. My father-in-law just got put back in the hospital again. He can't do much from a hospital. You have no guarantees. One of our friends right now fighting for life. He's great. Happiest, most powerful pound. He was just a powerful, connected man. Woke up 14 months ago with a headache. They found a grapefruit-sized tumor in his brain. He's fucking fighting for life right now. You think you have the whole game just planned out? I'm going to spend time with my kids next year. I'm going to take care of shit 10 years from now. When I'm in my 60s, I'll fucking get a handle. You act as if you'll live forever. You can think that way in your 20s and 30s. By the time you hit your 40s, 50s, and 60s, mortality starts to kick in. No matter how pumped you are about 10x health and the ability for you to live forever. Raise your hands if you know that mortality has become a realer conversation for you past 40. Raise your hands. Hands down. How many of you have looked at that as a proposition and realized that although the muscles are great and or whatever's great, at the end of the day, you really just want to be able to be mobile, agile, move, and continue to do life for a long-ass time? Raise your hand. I'm all about living to 100 and whatever. As long as 100 and whatever looks like being able to move around and do some shit. That's it. Gilbert, I just want to move around and be able to do some shit. Go to the jungle, solve my shit, and do whatever. I just move around. All right? This is the target. Change for me. Didn't give a fuck about CrossFit times. Didn't care about biceps. Wasn't my thing. I was like, fuck it. I just want mobile, agile, and be able to move. My bondage was the way I worked out. My body was hurting all the fucking time. I was beating it up all the time like I was punishing myself physically. And my whole frame around my body changed in the last 3 years. Just changed, shifted. How I eat, what I eat. Used to drink a lot of beer. Now I don't drink any beer. Just don't. Down to 188 pounds, lean and mean, fucking permanent six-pack. Fucking love it. Feel good. Mobile, agile, swinging around a light kettlebell. I'm not winning any championships, David King, with a light-ass kettlebell. There's nobody impressed. It's a big one. I got a big one, so it looks big on the beach, so everybody's impressed. Then they ask me how much it weighs. I'm like, don't fucking ask these kind of questions, bro. Who are you? You know me? It's like 30 pounds. This, for me, is what I'm after. Utility of the body. But I spent a decade and a half finding the power of God with leveraging my body. Ultramarathons changed me. 3 years of them. 3 years of Ironman changed me. 3 years of marathons changed me. I spent 9 years of my life being alone, hurting for long periods of time. Just listening to this voice. You get to a certain point, you can't. There's no podcast that's going to inspire you. You're just running. Quiet. Hurting. Heart rate just beating. Anything you hear is fucking annoying. So all you want to hear is just a gravel under your feet when you're hitting the trail. You're just running, and you're like, there's another fucking mountain. And you stop caring because you're just in flow. You just hurt. If you got to throw up, you throw up. If you feel good, you feel good. Ultra running taught me to not give a fuck what I feel. You still have to move. The goal is don't stop. The guy that wins is the guy that doesn't fucking stop. 156 miles, my longest race. It's fucking insanity. I couldn't do it right now. Unless you forced me and held my kids hostage and I go get it fucking handled. But at the time it made sense. But what God was leading me with my body was to listen. Why did I start surfing 5 years ago? Same thing. God wanted to teach me something else, including nearly drowning, blacking out, and thinking it was over. Only to come back and find peace. Your body is a weapon and a vehicle if you allow it to be. And it's not about six-packs and being shredded and being the next fitness influencer. I'm so excited about this whole generation of fitness influencers are going to be broke as fuck. They're all going to be working at the sandwich shop, flexing themselves and jerking themselves off their own 8-packs. Like, what do? I build followers who look at me with my shirt off. What else do you do? Nothing. I work out 5 times a day. Grind mode, bro. None of you fuckers are in that pocket. This is not a 22-year-old boot camp. Your kids, yeah. So my son's like, I'm jacked. I was like, you should be. You're 23. Your testosterone's high. You got everything in front of you, and I got a whole fucking kitchen in my house. Eat whatever the fuck you want. You should be giant. Let's go. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking get you, Dad. I was like, you should. I want you to get me. Make me feel small. I'm gonna go the other direction. Lean and mean, agile, agile. Lean and mean, agile. That was mine. So we're gonna go into body. You got the maps in front of you. You've got 20 minutes to work on this. Where are you currently in freedom and where are you currently in bondage when it comes to your body? Like, what does that look like for you? And what is the revelation you're getting about your body? Because we go through seasons, Alan, where all of a sudden thing that we did forever that was so powerful, God says, stop doing it. It's now no longer useful. Stop fucking running, Alan. Just stand in the calling. And so we do. If you're in chat and you're clear about where we're going, give it to me virtually. If you're clear about what we're going to do here for the next 20 minutes, give me clear in the chat. Give me clear in the chat. In my room, if you're clear about what we're going to be working on, give me clear. 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 Beautiful. Give me 20 minutes on the clock. 20 minutes to roll. Give me some good music this morning, a little high beat energy music. We're working on the body map. 3, 2, 1, off we go. right, how many of you done? Raise your hand. Beautiful, in my room, get into groups of 4, on your feet, get in groups of 4, let's go. Move it, move it, move it. Virtual home audience, gentlemen, we're gonna go into a group share right now. It's gonna be for 12 minutes. It's gonna be 4 or 5 of you per group. Each guy gets a couple minutes to talk about where he's at, bondage and freedom in the topic of body. You got a chance to share. Don't do this in a lame way. Get honest with each other, just like you've been asking already. How many of you right now are clear about what we're going to do in this at-home breakout, sharing on the topic of body? Type in clear into the chat so I know you're clear. Let's go. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Beautiful. 12 minutes on this share. Team, let them go. Talk to us. Body. Impact on you as a producer. You've had a lot of changes in the last year. Tell them about it.
I can't tell. When I first came to Warrior, I had lost some weight, mostly just by diet modification. I was 204 pounds when I went to Warrior Week. Last May, or 2 Mays ago, I guess. No, it was last May. I was at a Warrior event, and Garrett made a comment. I was about 225, 230. He had not seen me that heavy before. And then once the divorce happened, he came to the house, and when I signed up for Kingdom Warrior, and we talked about fitness, and he's like, why the fuck don't you work out? I'm like, I have a story. I don't want to feel pain. And so we just started by walking 45 minutes a day, walking every day. And I was in a really dark place, and I would listen to this worship music, because that's right when Garrett, was starting to get the worship music at the beginning of our calls, our shield calls. And so I would walk for 45 minutes, and in the pit I was in, I'd be weeping while I'm walking. Just thinking about my marriage failing, right? Thinking about all the darkness I was in at that point. But I just kept moving. 45 minutes a day, I'm just gonna fucking walk. And I had started Krav Maga earlier that year, and I finished up and became a yellow belt in Krav Maga, and then I invested in a trainer, and then that trainer, 3 days a week, was going and starting to get some good results. But it was humbling at first, guys. I mean, I'll tell you, that same event, Garrett had us go outside of HQ and do push-ups. 20 push-ups. And I sat around there and trying to keep up with doing 20 fucking push-ups, and I couldn't keep up with my brothers. And I felt so weak, so powerless in that moment. And then in March, I met a girl, younger girl, who agreed to, I boldly asked her, hey, I want to take you to Mexico. She's like, I've never been to Mexico. So into May, we scheduled a trip to go to Mexico. And this girl, she lifts 6 days a week. She's got a big old round ass. And she could squat more than me. And I'm like, fuck. I can't go to Mexico with this hot girl and not be fit. So then I was like, okay, now I got to get lean. So then I added cardio 4 days a week. So now I work out 7 days a week. And it sounds easy, but I had to make a priority. I had to shift and change other things to make myself and my body the priority. And I'm not good at that. I've been terrible at that. But I can tell you, some of you haven't seen me for a minute, and whether people at home or here see me, the results is inspiring to them as it is to me, right? For the first time in my life, I take off my shirt in the shower or in front of the mirror. I feel powerful. I look powerful. My body challenge, we titled it Project Captain America. The goal was to be 190 pounds and have a certain physique and look and be between 10 and 12% body weight. Today I'm 195 pounds, between 13 and 15, depending on the day or what I had to eat the night before or whatever. But I'm there, man. And I never thought I would be there, right? And I was sharing with my brothers in the share. I said, dude, that same girl and I were in my new castle 2 weeks ago. I haven't told Garrett the story yet. Standing in front of my spa. It's a giant enclosed shower with a giant tub in it, 2 shower heads, and a full-length mirror in front. And we're standing there in the low light, music on. She turns around and looks in the mirror with me standing next to her and is like, holy shit, that's so fucking hot. And I was like, yeah, fucking hot. Yes, it is. And guys, that power, how it transcends into production is every single room I walk into, I feel powerful. I have no sense of doubt or confidence. I walk into a bar, I see a girl I like, I go talk to her. And that energy, right, transfers everywhere you're at. When you're in business, the other guys in the room are always subconsciously sizing themselves up. Who's the alpha? Where do I fit in this equation? And if you don't have that power and certainty in your body, I would watch Garrett all the time and be like, I want that, but I wasn't willing to do what I needed to do to get that, right? But that shifted. For me, it was a girl. For you, it's got to be whatever it is for you. But it's that feeling, when I would be on that fucking treadmill, I don't want to be on the treadmill today. I'd put her picture on the fucking treadmill. Like, I am going to nail that bitch. Sorry, that girl. In Mexico, it's going to be
Single life,
fantastic.
single life.
Yeah.
Don't use that terms when you're married. Won't work out so well.
Well, not out loud. But I'm like, that is what I'm going to do. That is where I'm going to be. I would envision that time in Mexico. And guys, that vacation in Mexico was the most amazing vacation in my entire life. Went perfectly, and it was a transformation of what is possible for me in the future. So it was driven by body. And for the longest time in Warrior, I could not connect those two things. But now it's part of my identity. I will not ever go back. And I'm grateful for it. So if I'm capable of doing it, y'all are capable of doing it. Elazar, I know you're fucking capable of doing it, bro. And so...
that was a call out. That was a call out. Did you receive that call out? You want to come up and defend yourself and make a declaration? Get your ass up here.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Get your ass up here.
My Warrior Week, brother.
I know it. All right, hold on, because you made a call out. Now he gets to make a declaration. So wait, you look good, bud. Give it to him. What are you committed to for 2023? He just called you out.
I'm committed, bro. I'm committed to be looking like this stud right here. I'm committed to my health, to my body, to my life, to my family, who will suffer if I'm not healthy.
Two clap. Boom. Two clap. Boom. Two clap. Boom. You two are amazing. Great share. This is Ride Island's camaraderie, by the way. You guys are great. Up on my stage. Great job. I did hurt my hand on that. Yeah, good job. You squat now. Well done. Yeah, it was fun to watch Matt go through that process because so many guys, like the access point to power is they just don't feel powerful in their body. It's not even about looking a certain way. It's about you feeling a certain way in your body. So you have all these issues in which you want to take care of inside a business, but your big issue is the fact that your body doesn't feel weaponized. And some of you were hidden. You're just like skinny fat guys, right? You're just weak. You're skinny, but you're weak. Like, you're just weak. You know you're weak. If you had to throw down, had to do anything, you'd get your ass kicked, and you know that, right? And that's not empowering either. You have the illusion of being strong to yourself. And then you got your super, I can't fucking fight for longer than 15 seconds. You better get me because you're so muscle bound. You can't fucking swim for longer than 5 seconds. Sink to the bottom. You're not exactly in power either, unless you're a bodybuilder, and that's fucking great. But if you pass 45, who gives a fuck? Like, you better get your shit straight so that you can actually operate and live life. Now, I have two other people sharing. Both are doctors, both deal with people, and both deal with bodies. They watch what happens. One of them is my concierge doctor, and the other one is an ICU doctor who both have been with us for a long time and have seen the impact on producers who don't take care of their bodies. Dr. Bador, you and I had a bunch of interesting conversations during the COVID game. Share what you have witnessed about men who don't take care of their bodies.
Sure. Okay, so I'm not a fitness expert, but I do know health. And for the last two and a half years, I've been a COVID doctor, essentially. As an ICU doc, COVID was all I saw. Despite the stories of COVID, vaccines, that's not what this is about. People filled ICUs, and they died. And I'm a telemedicine doc, so I saw patients everywhere, all over the country, not just Utah, where I'm from. And the one thing that was the same about all of them was that they were all 40 to 60-year-old men who were overweight. And a lot of them were very powerful men. I remember having a lot of conversations with families, and they would say, well, what can you do? I was like, nothing. Nothing. Build a time machine, go back 20 years, tell them to stop fucking eating. Now, I wouldn't say that, but I want to scream it. Because you've got a 45-year-old guy, I'm 46, you have a 45-year-old guy with kids and a wife, he's on a ventilator, I can't fix him, there's nothing that can be done other than say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And when you and I discussed this, I had to talk to a 60-year-old mom with her 25-year-old son who was 450 pounds, type 2 diabetic, and she's like, what happens? I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can't help him. He's going to die tonight, and I'm sorry. What can any of you do? Stay fit. And I don't mean CrossFit. I mean just stay fit, stay lean, stay healthy, because it matters. Whether you love COVID or hate COVID, it's out there. And if it's not COVID, it's a heart attack, or it's diabetes, or it's something. And it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much you love God. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you do, not what you think, not what you say. I'm going to get in shape, then get in shape. People are dying. I have seen thousands of people die. Some of it's trauma, most of it is neglect.
See, when you've walked it and you've watched the deaths happen every night for years, like, so some of you fat fuckers need to get your shit straight. We have a culture that's justifying obesity for men and women. What it's really saying is it's just yet another reality of giving people permission to die, to not live, and to not live their calling. Some of you, I train too much, guys. We talk about that. Talk about the inflammation of I train too much, guys.
The other thing we saw, and this was surprising but not surprising, was most of the patients were overweight. Not super fat, but overweight because they had inflammation. The other side of it was we saw healthy people who were thin, super fit, but they were overfit, meaning they were never giving themselves time to heal. They were constantly in inflammation. Whether you're overweight, which is a constant state of inflammation, or not rested enough and constantly training. We saw guys that were running ultra marathons dying with COVID. And this is speculation, but the only common denominator is inflammation and not giving rest. If you are overweight, you're constantly inflamed. If you are constantly working out, you're constantly inflamed, even though you look really fit. And we saw, I think it was a 25-year-old nurse who was CrossFitting and ultramarathoning who died. And we couldn't figure it out. And we kept seeing these, and it comes down to inflammation. So don't sedate by being super fit. Take some time off.
That was for the super fit fuckers who were like, yeah, I'm not fat. I do Muay Thai 5 hours a day and roll with my buddies every night. I had a comment that came to me from one of my buddies here in the room. He said, you know what's crazy about looking at the people on virtual? He said, I think a lot of the guys stayed home because they didn't want to be exposed physically if they showed up in the room. Like, I don't know whether it's true or not. I do know this, the body's like this weird thing because like it exposes you real fast. Not if we go past the idea of just being attractive and feeling powerful, we just go to living. Just living. Choosing to live. Choosing to live. And the worst part is the fact that you're passing it on to your children. All your habits. You pass them on to your kids. The way you eat, the way you operate, the way you train, the way you don't train, the way you sleep, the way you don't sleep. You're teaching all your children exactly how life is supposed to be, not by what you say, but what they watch. So you can keep justifying all your shit. I came from a culture of people who justify, I don't drink alcohol, but I can be fat as fuck. This was the culture I was raised in. Don't drink alcohol, don't drink coffee, but go ahead and have 2 cakes. And a Diet Coke to wash it down. Diabetes was normal. Obesity was normal. It was expected by mid-30s, after your wife had all the babies, that you just became fat. This was just the culture I was in. It was justified. Then society started calling it a man bod, dad bod, man bod. Justified. So what are you going to choose? You can't do God's work if you're falling apart. And you know exactly what I'm talking about for my overtrainers. You train so damn hard that you just have to have caffeine to wake up. You have all this energy when you wake up, then you train so fucking hard for what? You train so hard for what? So you can be tired the rest of the day and not get shit done? As bad as a guy that hits the Starbucks drive-thru and thinks that he's putting in a workout. At home, you get what I'm talking about? Type in hell yes in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about. By the way, I can't tell you what the standard's supposed to be. I can tell you what the standard is for me, for myself, based upon what it was, where I am now. Can't tell you what the standard's supposed to be for you, though. You can. See, here at Warrior, we're going to require all these conversations. That's why the Warrior's Way works. You don't get to just haul past one category. If you have a plaguing area, it gets exposed here. So, Dr. Fedora, that was passionate. I appreciate it. I love it. Thank you. To go up, boom, hand mask from our other doctor. They double doctored me with a video here this year. It was like one doctor recommending another doctor. So, Dr. Boyd deals with a different one. This is my concierge doctor, who my family deals with every single day. My wife texts him when we have questions. Our kids text him when we have questions. I'd encourage you to talk with him while he's here. Does handles as a concierge doctor for our family intimately. My wife and children will be here. We'll talk about it tomorrow, about Dr. Boyd's impact and the calm and the peace that he brings to my wife when we have questions. The baby's sick or things are happening, like we come directly to him. We don't go to the fucking medical system, and I don't just go through the power frame game of because you're a fucking doctor, I should listen to you. I wanted a man that lives by the code, a man that lives inside the Warrior's Way, who lives this game, and that's what he does. So speak to what you've seen, because you look at this from a productive side. It's like AZ Arajo in the room and myself and so many others that work with you about how productivity increases with just knowing that your body's well.
So it begins with facts.
Sure.
And so that's really where it all starts, is what are the facts? We talk a lot about facts across all these other areas, these other domains. But the reality is the majority of us don't know the actual facts of our body. We think we do. We sedate thinking we do, because we'll go and we'll get some bullshit physical that your doctor gives when he sees you for 7 minutes and you check the box. Or you go and you pay a bunch of money for some labs that you have no idea what in the hell they say, but somebody says, here, you need to go buy these expensive supplements to go along with the labs that we just drew. And so you do it spending hundreds of dollars a month because you're checking the box, feeling I'm spending the money, therefore it's moving me in a direction. But what are the actual facts? And I'll have you consider that the actual facts that you currently have access to are pretty superficial. Conversely, you look at royalty, senators, presidents. Do you think the reason why they live into their 90s and 100s is because they have fantastic genetics? No. It's because they have access to a different level of care that has access to a different level of facts. And those facts allow you to make decisions accordingly. So it all begins with the foundation of facts, facts for your body. Once you have the facts, then you can actually make decisions and decide where you want to go. And you can do that from a very powerful foundation of what labs look like, images look like, your family history, what does it mean, genetics, whether something is there or not there. And you can actually reverse engineer production of where you want to go for the next stages of your life. I'm 45 years old. So it's a very different conversation at 25 versus 35 versus 45. Like at 25, I just wanted to be jacked. I wasn't. I was chubby. I had all kinds of issues surrounding food where I would sedate with food. And those continued on into my 30s when I was raising my daughters. And they saw that. They saw the binge eating and the things that go along with it. They saw the learned behavior, things that I'm trying to deprogram now as they're ending their teen years. So I'm more cognizant now in my 40s of what do I want life to look like at 55, 65, 75. Because guys, the way it stands right now, 82, that's the average, that's the average age of death for most men in the United States, and it's not a healthy 82. Picture in your mind what an 82-year-old looks like. Like the majority of the time, they're fat, they're kind of bent over, shuffling, right? They're not spry. But in here, it's a different level conversation. So when you talk about production, what do you want to actually make happen in your life, the type of business that you want to have, the type of income you want to have, the sex that you want to have, the connection with your queen, the relationship that you want to have with your kids and to go and to do stuff with them and everything, that can all be reverse engineered, but it can only be reverse engineered if you have a solid platform of facts to begin with. Unfortunately, everybody on Instagram wants to sell you a supplement. I forget, I was talking to the other day. There's some guy, right? He's like a muscle-bound dude, looks like a barbarian. Like he sells like some supplement with ground up liver and monkey cum or something.
Liver King.
Liver King, there you go. Right? So it's like, all right, well, I'll spend $80 a month to take this dehydrated monkey cum, and that's gonna give me what I'm looking for. Probably not. I'm gonna venture to say probably not. But if you actually have facts of where you are, well, then you can actually say, okay, this is where I can actually go create and hit the level of production that I want to hit. I'm gonna say one more thing, because this is where I was getting something wrong for a really long time. When I created my business, when I created Blind Spot, I thought the sole purpose behind it was actually just to help men live longer. Then it became, no, I'm going to help men live longer and better. No. There was a piece I was missing. And that was God. It was the piece I was missing because I was ignoring it for myself. And once I actually met God and walked with God, that was like getting the secret piece of the code that all of a sudden then everything else made sense. Why I was drawn to it, why I had the calling to go become a physician, why I came to Warrior in the first place, why I choose to roll with you psychopathic assholes. Because that piece, consider that for all the things that we think and that we take in for our body, for as much as we want to feel powerful when we walk in a room with the physique to match, that the reason why is because you're being called to more. That's the reason why that desire is there in the first place. The reason why you see an attractive woman and you find her attractive is because God is beauty and you're being inspired to that beauty to go back to it, to go back to God, because your soul belongs to Him. The piece that I was missing is I didn't realize that the whole point of everything with the body is for each one of us to fulfill our mission. And you can't fulfill your mission if you're sitting, you're wondering about if that headache that you have is actually a brain tumor. You can't fulfill your mission if when you're run up a flight of stairs and you have to, for a minute, if you're thinking, oh man, I don't know, could a heart attack be in my future? Because it's stealing energy from you. You can't fulfill your mission, I'll dare to say, if you're not at your absolute physical peak at each stage of life that you're in. So that's really what it's about. And when it comes to productivity and production, that's the purpose behind it.
Now, two doctors. One talking about the cost and the trauma and the carnage, and the other talking about a different path to change it. Most of you know you have no idea what's going on in your body. You barely take care of what's going on the outside, let alone what's going on the inside. How many right now at home have had an element in the last couple of years at some point where there's been a twinge or something in your body and part of your brain has been slightly panicked about it? Type in hell yes in the chat if this happened to you. Type in hell yes in the chat. Here inside studio, hands up if you've had that experience yourself. Raise your hand. One of the greatest traumas we had inside the game of Warrior was we started seeing that men were actually terrified of what was going on under the hood. It's real easy to focus on all this part and the biceps and I'm not fat. But there's this piece inside of us that starts going, shit, what if my organs aren't working? My father-in-law was back in the hospital again with toxic body internal system issues, with failure happening with organs. Why? My father-in-law ate like shit for 45 years. He's like a human fucking garbage disposal. So on the one side, I'm like, I love him. But on the other side, I'm like, you did this to yourself, garbage disposal. You did this to you. And he's not even that old. He's like 72. And he's an amazing human being. It's like the 5th time in the hospital in the past year and a half. Hard to get 20-year-olds to give a shit. Difficult to get 30-year-olds to give a shit. In the 40s, you start to give a shit. How many of you have noticed this? Type in yes, just yes into the chat if you've noticed this. All of a sudden in the 40s, you're like, fuck, man, I should probably pay attention to some shit around here. How many of you here in the home, here in the studio with us, actually know that you have no idea what's going on in the inside of your body right now? Raise your hand. Good. And we have some liars here too. How many of you have actually gone through a deep dive internal work process with a doctor or a medical facility in the last 12 months? Stand up if you have. Okay, good. So these are the ones who are an actual yes. The rest of you just think you are. Congratulations. Hoping won't get you there. Look around. Look around the guys standing up. These guys did something about it. You sitting, you didn't. You think you know. You think you're doctors. You think you understand. It's just like me. I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. But there's a twinge in the back of your mind that will actually have you question and wonder. Am I good? Am I good? There's hesitation. As powerful as the gym is, the gym doesn't give you internal data. There's a combination of having all of this. Go ahead and have a seat. And all of this serves one simple purpose, which is, does the body allow you to weaponize yourself to live the calling you've been given? Some of you are addicts. Most of you are addicts. Just depends on what you're addicted to at this point. Do your current addictions support you in moving forward? That's all. Do they support you? If they don't, it's the time to drop them. What new addictive habits you need to pick up? Going to get a chair on stage. Dr. Boyd, thank you very much. To clap. Boom.